Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. When I was a kid, we used to play Capture the Flag all day long with my neighbors. We used to have cool places to hide them, we had interesting yards with different terrain, and it was so much fun, and I remember so much of my childhood from it. Today, we're going to be doing the same thing, but in the board game realm. Today we're looking at Flag Dash, where we're going to be trying to capture that flag and bring it back home for victory. This is for 2 to 4 players, takes about 30 minutes to play. Today we're going to do a rules school, so I'm essentially going to give you a quick 1-minute overview of what the game's about, and then teach you how to set up and play the game so that you don't even have to open up the rule book. So let's get started. Flag Dash is a 2 to 4 player game where you're trying to get your characters and teammates on the other side to get the other team's flag and get back to your territory. Or you're trying to have one of your characters capture all 3 colors from the other team. Each round you'll be secretly selecting 2 cards and the priority of those cards so that nobody else on the other team can see. You'll be deciding to move or copy cards or push other players or grab flags. You might be sneaking your way through tunnels to go get the flags. And each character has a special ability which gives more layers of depth to the game. There's also an alternative side to the board and many variants to keep the replayability high. Most of this tutorial, I have the different character pieces laying down flat. This is just for the ease of your eye, to be able to see where they go, to be able to see all the things in and around them, but when you play the game, you can stand them up straight and tall. This is going to be the setup for 4 players. Later in the video, we'll go over what setup looks like for 2 or 3 players. The players are going to team up. There's going to be 2 playing on this side of the board and 2 playing on that side of the board. We have the red team with the red flag here and the white team with the white flag here. Each team is going to decide which characters are going to be on their side of the board. In this case, each team is going to have 2 runners. The runners are going to be the ones on the ends. And 2 defenders. The defenders are going to be just in front of the flag that they are defending. You'll also place 2 walls, one here and here, and 4 tunnels that you see around the board there. Now this side decided to use these 3 characters, and the yellow is the defender. You're going to get the cards for the different colored characters. Purple, purple, yellow, yellow, blue, blue. You do the same for the other team as well. The defender card you are going to flip over so it has a flag with an X mark on it. Another way to look is it does not have any places to capture flags here. The defender is always going to be the one in front of the flag, and you'll always turn this over like that. Notice that the other 2 characters are the runners for the teams. You want to flip that to the side that does not have the flag in the X. It shows an ability, and it also has the 3 spots to capture flags. For all the cards on your side, you're going to get the 2 flags of their color, and you're going to place them right on the cards. The other team will do the same. Every player is going to get the following: a player shield, 7 different unique tokens, all numbered 1 through 7. They're also going to get 7 cards. And they're going to be a down, a left, a right, an up, a push, a flag, and a copy. Give the tiebreaker pawn to the team that has the youngest player. And finally, place the 12 boost tokens that have these lightning bolts near the board. The object of the game is to have your team, if this is us, get the other team's flag and bring it back to our territory. Or to have any one character from your team to collect one of each of the flag colors from the 3 other characters on the opposite team. Each round of the game goes through 3 phases. We go through planning moves, then resolving moves, and then cleaning up. For the planning moves, each player is going to select 2 of the cards that they have still in their hand, and they're going to place them face down. They're also going to take 2 of the tokens and place them face down on each of the cards, with the card that's closest to the board being your first programmed movement and the card further away from the board as your second programmed movement. Now teammates can communicate with each other fully as to what they're trying to do for the round, and they can also look at each other's face down tokens or cards at any time. Once every player has secretly selected their action movements and their action priority tokens, everyone will flip the priority token for their first program movement. These will get resolved from the lowest number to the highest number. So 1 is the lowest number. If there's a tie between 2 different teams and they both have the same number, the team with the tiebreaker pawn will go first. If 2 teammates on the same team have the same lowest number and tied, those 2 get to decide who will do theirs first. And once we've determined, let's say this player did have priority, they would flip over their card and they would resolve the card. Now this player can either move their specific runner or their team's defender. Now this player is not forced to resolve this move, they can decide not to, but if they are going to do it, they have to fully resolve the card. This is a movement card, this is up, and as we've seen that there's other cards of left, right, and down as movements as well, so let's talk about movement in general. You would resolve that movement in the direction of your card. In this case, it was up, and let's say this player was running the blue character, they could have moved this player, or the defender. The movement cards are always read with the perspective of which way you're facing the board. In this case, we're just below the board, looking up into it. So let's say they want to move their character, they would move them up one just like that. And since those move cards are cardinal directions, up, down, left, right, none of the cards allow you to move in diagonal spots. If it looked like this at the beginning of my move, you cannot move through or end your turn on any other character, so I could not move up through here. Also, if I were to be moving down, if that was the card I played, you could never move through a wall. If it was this player that was moving and they tried to move left, they can't go that way either because you cannot move off the board. Also, you can never move onto a space that has a team flag. So if this player were to be moving left, they would actually just skip it and go over here, and that's still considered one move. Now, anytime moving, either before, during, or after, you can move your character through a tunnel. Let's say I was moving up, I go here, and that's my move, but I can use a tunnel without making another move. When going through a tunnel, you can go to any other tunnel opening. But if there is any other player on a tunnel, they must be bumped one space adjacent. So I could have moved myself from here to here, which can bring me here or here. Now notice that there's a tunnel here. If there's a tunnel with a character on it and you want to move it, essentially you can, for your move, I had moved up, I'm in the tunnel, I can actually move this character in any one of the four directions off the tunnel to then go use it. Now you cannot use the tunnel if you have a flag in your hand. So essentially if this team flag was in this player's hand, they could not have used that. And also each character can only use a tunnel once per turn. Now if when trying to use the tunnel, there is a team flag or a character on top of the tunnel, you can move it. So essentially you could take the flag, you can move it in any one of the four directions so that you could use the tunnel here. Likewise, if you wanted to move the character, you could also move it in any of the four cardinal directions to be able to go into the tunnel. Once each player has resolved their first program card, you'd do the same thing where each player would flip over their priority token, you'd go in order and resolve the card underneath. We're going to go over those cards and the tokens in just a bit. But after all players have resolved both of their program movements, we go to the cleanup phase, and in this case, you're going to take all your programmed action cards and you're going to place them back into your hand. But the priority tokens you use do not go back in the hand. They're going to get discarded face up near the board so people can see which ones you've used. And the tiebreaker marker gets passed to the team that was last to move based upon the priority markers. Note that this can be the same team that had it last turn. You'll then start the first phase again, which is plan moves, and you'll continue doing this throughout the game. I'm going to go over the other card actions now. The next one is called the flag action. This allows you to do one of three things. If your runner is adjacent to the opposing team's flag, even if there's a wall between it, you can take this and place it right on your runner. You can also do the same if you're on the same team and you're taking it from one of your teammates and this is the opposing team's flag, and you can even do so if there's a wall in between you. If the purple runner played the flag card and they are adjacent to a teammate, they can give that opposing team flag to the teammate even if there's a wall in between them. If there wasn't a teammate there, this purple runner could place it adjacent to themselves, up, down, left, or right, even if there's a wall in between it. And if your runner is adjacent to the opposite team's character and there is not a wall separating them, they can reach down on their belt and pull one of their flags off of that color. And that player would take that color flag and place it here on their card. Now keeping in mind that if this player were able to get one flag from the other two player colors on the other team, this team would win. The copy card allows you to copy any other card that you've played earlier this round. In this case, this is the only other card I've played earlier, so I could copy that. And when doing priority, you use the priority that is on this card, not the one that you're copying. The last card we'll talk about is the push card. This allows you to push any adjacent character to you that's not separated by a wall. In this case, if the purple runner played it, the blue player is my teammate runner. This player would get pushed up to 2 spaces in any direction I want, in vertical or horizontal or any combination, so I could push them like this, or I could even maybe push them something like that. If I'm going to push an opponent and they happen to have our flag, then this player drops the flag where they are. So let's say I push this opponent, they would drop our flag there, and then I could push them up to 2, maybe 1, 2, or any combination like before. And note, this is the only way to force an opponent to drop your team flag. Now let's talk about the different priority tokens. Number 1 goes first, of course, or if you're tied for first, it's the team that has the tiebreaker marker. We've talked about that. This one is you get to play the card and you get a boost marker. Each character has 2 places to hold a boost and you would place it there. Let's talk about what these boosts do. Now immediately before or after resolving a card for your character, you can discard a boost to move 1 spot. And normal moving rules apply. And you can move in any direction regardless of the movement card you may have played. Each character can only have up to 2 boosts, and you can only use boosts that you have gotten during a prior move. So in this case, if I had played a 2 on here, I could play the boost. Now I already had this one, I could play it, but if I had none and played this, when this comes, I wouldn't be able to use it right now. Now the 3 and the 6 work the same way. They have 2 cards on there. Essentially what happens is, the card that you had just played and any card from your hand will be activated. You get to decide which order they're activated in, but you cannot split these between characters. You have to use them on the same person. The 4 and 5 allow you to activate your card's effect multiple times. The 4 allows you to do it twice, and the 5 allows you to do it 3 times. The 4 also gives you a boost token. The number 7 allows you to activate your card as normal and gain back all of your previously played and discarded priority tokens and get them back in your hand, including this one. However, if there was a second one card here for the round and you had done this, you would get all the previously played and this one, but you would not get that one back because that one had not yet been played. And so you'll keep going through those 3 phases, planning moves, resolving moves, and cleaning up until one team wins by either having any one of their characters get 1 color of each of the opponent's flags or by bringing the opponent's flag onto your territory. And territories are the closest side to you that are just the grass areas. Once you're familiar with the game, you may want to use all of the character abilities in the game, and this gives the game some more flavor and some more strategy. Now generally as character abilities work, they're only used on runners, they're never used on defenders, and anytime an ability causes someone to move, all normal movement rules must be followed. And each character has a logo on it, an icon. You will then add that card to your action cards that are available for you to play. Now when you activate these cards, they do different things. For example, the businessman activates the jump card. The jump allows you to jump over a wall or another character, assuming there's not another character on those spots. However, it does not allow you to jump over team flags or any traps that might be out on the board, which we'll talk about later. The ninja gets 2 spy tokens. They're played as normal priority tokens. When everyone reveals if they've played a spy, they get to select 1 player, and that player has to show which card they've played. Once that's done, the spy must replace this with any other available priority token, and they can also decide to replace this card if they'd like. However, when using this, you can only move your runner during this move. And spy tokens are only allowed to be played once per game, so remove it from the game after you've used one. The tech nerd gets a trap card and the 2 trap tokens. When the trap card is played, that runner can place a trap up to 2 spots orthogonally away, not diagonal, and it cannot be placed onto another character or onto a team flag. If another player, which could possibly even be their own teammate, gets onto the trap, they are stuck there until that player who was on the trap has played their number 7 priority token. And that player that plays the 7 can escape the trap that turn and move as normal. Anytime the trap is escaped, or anytime the tech nerd actually goes on top of the trap, just remove that token off the board for now. And if an opposing team has the opposing flags in there and they were moving to their territory to win the game, even if they were to get trapped, they'd still win. The Cowboy gets a lasso action card and can play it just like the others. And that allows the Cowboy to lasso anyone in the same row or column as them and pull them 1 space closer. That rope does not get blocked by walls or other characters. So if this player wanted to lasso this player, even though there's a character here, the rope goes through and pulls them 1 space closer. The construction worker gets the shovel or the dig action card along with 2 tunnel tokens. If when you play that dig card, your runner is next to a tunnel token, you can remove it from the board. Or you can also place a tunnel using that dig token, and it has to be in an adjacent up, down, left, right area from where your runner is. It can be on this side of the wall, but it cannot be placed on top of another tunnel, a flag, or a character. The cat lady allows you to get 2 cat tokens, which are basically used as priority tokens. They come back to you anytime that you play the number 7 priority token like the other ones. The number 3 token has your cats chase the 2 closest characters 1 space away from you, and then you can activate your card. The number 5 allows you to activate your card that this is on, and then you can chase away the 2 closest characters 1 space away from you. When playing with 2 players, you modify the setup by moving the end characters in once, and these outside columns are never used during the 2-player game. If you're new to the game, you'll use 1 set of 7 action cards like normal and the 7 different priority tokens, and when you play them you can move any 3 of the characters on your team. When your runners are adjacent to each other, you can play the flag card to pass any number of character flags from one runner to the other. And so this could help you easily pass the last flag to win the game. If you've played the game a lot, you can play it in an advanced 2-player game, and that's using 2 separate sets of 7 cards and 7 priority tokens, and running each runner as normal as if it was the 4-player game, but that's just you doing all the thinking. And when playing with 3 players, the more experienced player will play on their own, following the 2-player rules that I had just mentioned. The other 2 players play as if they were on a normal team, as if the 4-player rule. You can also flip the board over and use the alternative board. This is the red team's territory, which kind of goes like this, and the same for the white team's territory. And for the red team, your runners are going to be where the blue and the purple players are now, and your defender is going to be here. For the white team, your runners are going to be here and here where the green and orange players are now, and the black player is your defender. Those are the spots. Of course, you can use any characters in any of those spots to start the game. Now, this board has walls. These walls actually are all the way, these 4 spots are blocked by this. How this tunnel works is at the end of the second phase, and only then, if you're able to be on here, you can move to the opponent's tunnel, and then you can get the flag. Once you have the flag, you can jump over these just as like a normal movement to get out of there. And like the normal board, if you're standing next to the flag with a wall in between you, you can still grab the flag. That's the way to get it without having to go through the secret tunnels. There's different variants you can play with as well. This is flag decoys. When you're setting up the game, you put the shield to hide it. You're going to have 2 decoys and 1 real flag. You're going to figure out where they go, and then you're going to flip them over. All of these act as team flags for movement rules, and then when a player plays a flag card next to it, an opponent player, they would flip it over, and then if it's a decoy, they would remove it. If it's a flag, they would replace it with that team's flag. Another variant is called Storm. After determining the movement order, one player selects a card at random from a player's hand. You'd switch off which round who gets to select. And then if that card is another movement or running card, then this step is just skipped and you just do the normal movement character step. If the card that was selected is the copy card, a thunderstorm booms and everybody forgets what they're doing. They discard all their priority tokens and moves without performing them. But if you had played a 7, you still get to get those tokens back. If you pull a push card during this, then lightning strikes and everyone runs. You would continue drawing a card at random from any opponent's hand until you select a run card. Move all the characters 1 space in that direction by the arrow. And this direction is in the perspective of whoever drew the card, and then you go to the move character step. And if you draw a flag card now, then the wind gusts and moves the flag towards the opponent's side. If there's a character there, you move them adjacent as well 1 spot, and if both flags move and just happen to go to the opposite player's territory, then it's a tie and no one wins. Otherwise, you keep going with the move character step. You can also play in hard mode, which changes 3 things. Number 1, only 1 boost is allowed on any character at any time. Number 2, you remove all of the copy cards from the game. And number 3, if you play an action card, you are forced to resolve it whether you want to or not. And if you want to play a bunch of games back to back, you can play in rally mode, which essentially what happens is once a team has won, you reset only the flag or character flags that had caused the game to end, and then you continue playing. You don't reset any of the discarded priority tokens, and you don't discard any of the character flags that did not cause the game to end. Well, I hope this helped you dive right into the game without having to read the rulebook, allowed you to enjoy the game faster. Now, if you have further questions, I'm going to put a link in the description of this video, and that will be the best location to ask these questions, because not only will I be able to answer them, but also the designer, the publishers, and any developers.